There's a moment many of us reach when we stop asking what needs to be done and start quietly wondering something deeper. Like, who am I now? We ask ourselves, who am I now? Now, not in a dramatic way, not in a dramatic identity crisis kind of way, but in a quiet, noticing kind of. Like it's something that we gradually notice, we start wondering about in the back of our minds. But unfortunately, life just keeps on moving, right? When you notice something quietly, you don't really pay too much attention because other things are going on. And then responsibilities keep building up and roles keep expanding. And you stop feeling like the version of you that you remember. Of course, you don't really realize that's what's going on. And because you start realizing that like slowly, that creates confusion. Okay? Because technically nothing is really wrong, but then on the other side, nothing is fully right either. So today it's not about fixing that. It's more about understanding. Hi, my name's Christine. For those of you that don't know me, I am a mom who has been where you are, trying to juggle multiple roles I had taken on purpose, considering everyone but myself. And then I started taking my needs as an afterthought, right? Putting them at the end of the list, not even putting myself on the calendar. And that kept on happening until I didn't know who I was anymore. Now, fortunately, that has since changed, and I'm being more intentional about my interests and taking time for them. And this has definitely shifted things for me. What I do now is I help moms who were in the same position, same journey, finally take time for themselves, for their interests. And you can find me in the Creativity and Clarity for Moms community on Skool. Come and join us. We welcome you. So, moving on. Why does this feeling feel so disorienting? One of the hardest parts of identity change is that it doesn't announce itself, right? Because it happens gradually. There's no moment where life says, hold on, you are now becoming somebody new. No, instead it feels like a quiet disconnection, uncertainty, restlessness, like something is missing. You suddenly start to feel emotionally flat, right? And then you have a lack of clarity of what you're supposed to do, what you're doing, what excites you, everything about who you are as a person, not your roles, because you've embraced those, you've defined those, and you're having fun with those, but about you, your own person. And what's interesting, the mind interprets all of this as something being wrong. Excuse me. But what if it isn't about something being wrong? What if it's actually transition? Right? Well, think about that. Maybe nothing is wrong and it's all because you're transitioning. Your life is changing. You are changing. So, of course, your interests, what makes you is shifting. So of course, you don't really notice the identity while it's changing, right? It doesn't change in big moments. It changes in repetition when we keep on repeating. Like, for example, your name is on the list and you constantly check it off, like cross it off, right? You have something scheduled on the calendar and you constantly take it off and use it for something else. Or instead of keeping that time for yourself, you start thinking about, what you haven't done, what you need to do. And so, yeah, you keep on doing it. You make it a habit. So it changes in repetition. Your identity changes in repetition. In daily choices and things that we put forth, like what do we prioritize in a day? Right? Are you in there? Are you prioritizing any time for yourself? What about in where your attention goes? Yeah, we may scroll or watch things because we're interested in them, but do we start to do it ourselves? Or is it just mind numbing scrolling because we're tired, because we want something to entertain us in the short few minutes that we have in between other things, right? And what do you prioritize, right? Who comes first? Of course, your family, your spouse, your kids, right? But you should be you should be on that list too of priority. In fact, in many cases, you should be at the top because if you are not healthy, you're not taking care of you. You can't take care of other people. So where are you in your priorities? Are you after sorry, excuse me? Are you after the garage has been cleaned? Do you come after that? Are you after all the laundry has been done? Are you after all the prepping has been done for the summer? Then you're like, oh yeah, now I can finally think about me. Where'd you lie in that list? Also, in what you stop doing for yourself. Like, for example, I used to love to do like my nails, my toes, like this, whatever color I feel like putting nail polish, mix and match, or whatever. If I was learning how to design on my nails, anyway, short story. Um, once I had my son, I stopped putting time aside for me to do my nails or whatever. I mean, I would do them, but it wasn't like as regular thing as before. And even right now, I find myself, oh, I want to do my nails, but then I'm like, wait, my nails will take a long time to dry, but I still need to do this, this, and that, falling back into that trap. So, what have you stopped doing for yourself? I'm coming back to doing some of the things that I stopped doing for myself. Yeah, I'm coming back to start doing things for myself because I want to, not because I need to, not because I'm going somewhere, but because I feel like it. I want to. So over time, all these decisions that we make, all these choices that we make, begin to shape who we are. Right? So they shape who you become, and this is in lived reality because we're doing it. And that's why it feels confusing because there is no single moment that you can point to that says, this is when I became somebody different. Well, yeah, you can pinpoint when you became a wife because you got married. You can pinpoint when you became a mother because you had kids. But can you pinpoint, like, can I pinpoint when I stopped being Christine who loved to do things for fun, creative things just because I want to express myself in different ways, to the Christine who is struggling to find time for just quiet moments, Christine who is struggling to find time to any of my interests. No, that shift was slow. And let me tell you, that shift is slow and you don't really notice while it's happening. But just think back to who you used to be, who you are now. Not that there's anything wrong, but take a look and see what has changed over the years, over the months, over the weeks. What has changed from who you were to who you just think of it. So why don't we feel like ourselves anymore? Why don't you feel like yourself? When we say things like, I don't feel like myself anymore, what does that actually mean? So we often mean it to say, I don't recognize how I spend my time. Right now, this is not a time for doing the chores or work or family events, kids events, work stuff. This is time for you, yourself. So I don't feel like myself anymore. Is I don't recognize how I spend my own personal time anymore. I don't recognize what I give my energy to. I don't recognize what I prioritize. many times we do these things unconsciously because for some reason we think that all these other things are more important than we are. Is it the nurturing aspect of being a mother, of being a spouse? I don't know. But we tend to put ourselves last and everything else first. But we need to start putting ourselves first too. Not being selfish, but taking care of ourselves too. Right? And this is not isn't so as you start to realize all of this, it doesn't mean that yourself has gone. It's just that yourself has adapted, right? So you need to find yourself in this current season that you're in and find who you are, what you like, what you want to do, how you take care of you, how you relax, right? And the reason that we have adapted is because we have more responsibilities. We're in survival mode, right? And because we've adapted to everybody else's needs and forgotten ours in the time. So here's a mistake that most of us make, right? The common reaction we have is, I need to go back to who I was. I mean, that makes sense when you're thinking about, I don't know who I am. And you're like, okay, well, let me go back to who I was. But that doesn't work because that version of you was shaped by a different life structure, right? You had different responsibilities, you had different demands, you had different capacity of what you could take on. And trying to return to her, yourself, completely can create even more frustration because where you are currently does not fit there because you are no longer living the life that you were living then. You are living the life that you're living now, if that makes sense. Let me put it this way. Because your life no longer fits in the life you are living now. That's your past self no longer fits in the life that you're living now. So, you're not supposed to go back. Trust me, I've tried. You were supposed to evolve forward, not into something unfamiliar, because then that would cause a whole host of problems. But you evolve forward, right? You start to integrate who you are, right, into what you like what your interests are. For example, if you used to love painting, right? Now, you may not be able to paint because of granted time, the amount of time you have to dedicate to it is probably different. It's most likely different. No, let me just say it is different. Or the way you used to paint, the mediums that you used to do, the subject matters that you used to paint are different right now. So I'm not saying go back. You can go back to what you used to do, but because of who you are right now, you're not going to have the same feeling. So what I would encourage you to do is look at what you used to do and adapt it to what you are now, who you are now, what your feelings are now, right? Because you're someone who has integrated all new responsibilities and new factors into your life. So you should integrate your new self, who you are, into what you used to do in the activities that you used to. I'm not confusing you, but you are someone who carries who you were, who you had to become, becoming a spouse and a mom, and who you are now becoming. Because as we know, the journey doesn't end. We are still evolving as mothers, as women, right? The stages might be different, but we are still progressing. We're still developing. We're still enriching our lives, and we need to show that enrichment in our personal time too, right? Now, you were all of that at the same time. Can you believe that? All at the same time. And this is why transition feels heavy. Identity transition feels heavy because they involve letting go of the old definitions of self, right? Even ones that felt familiar or ones that felt safe. or ones that felt like you, right? So what's interesting is that you mentally start to resist that loss, right? And because even confusion feels safer than the unknown, you want to stick in that spot, right? That spot of, I don't know who I am, but I don't really want to find out because I'm not really sure if I want to know who I am. So that's why transition and first of all, acknowledging that you are transitioning or that you have transitioned is not something that a lot of moms want to know or want to even juggle. And granted, yes, it does. It's not an easy thing to wrap our heads around because it means evaluating what we are doing. Not that what we're doing is wrong. It's just that we are leaving a big chunk out of what we're doing in our life right now. We're living the essence of us, right? So let's talk about shifting from finding yourself to returning to self-trust, because that's what it's all about, right? The goal is not to find a lost version of you, because that version is still in you. It's just changed. The goal is to rebuild trust with the version of you that exists now, because we're not going back. We're living in the current, in the time, in the now, right? And this looks like looking at small choices, making small choices, small honesty, like starting to acknowledge what's going on and honestly evaluating it and owning up to it. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but just acknowledging that, okay, I know that I have changed right now. And I mean, I have changed from what I used to be, and I'm okay with that. And this is how I have changed, right? Small alignments, too. It can look like small alignments, meaning you're changing, you're rearranging, you're reevaluating. You're looking at your goals and where you are right now and how to get to your goals. You're trying to align all that. Also, slow awareness, right? When we're transitioning, it's not like boom. Oh no, I am different. No, you start to slowly become aware of, oh wait, I don't like painting like that anymore. I like painting like this. Or I don't like sewing this kind of outfit anymore. Maybe it's fun to do, but it doesn't spark joy in me. It doesn't excite me anymore. I want to sew clothing for my kids' dolls, right? So we may like the same thing, but how we apply it is different because, granted, we are different, right? So I would encourage starting small. Instead of forcing clarity, start small. Start coming to understand who you are right now in small chunks, right? Start building that relationship with yourself again. So, what does identity building or rebuilding actually look like? Now, it doesn't look like a full reinvention, although that's what many of us we want to do so that we can be fast, right? It's not a dramatic life overhaul. It's not a sudden clarity because it starts with something feels off. Something is missing. Oh, I don't really like this anymore. Or this is what I used to do, but it's not calling to me anymore. It's gradual. Perfect routines. It's not perfect routines. We don't have perfect routines, right? So this is what it looks like instead, or what it can look like instead. Choosing what feels aligned in small moments. So you're like, okay, I have this small moment that I have to myself that I can do for myself. And this is what feels like I can accomplish or I can do in this moment, right? So choosing what feels aligned in small moments. Noticing what drains you. The mistake that we make is we keep on going and going and going, even though we are tired, even though we know doing something a certain way makes us even more exhausted. So if you start noticing those things, notice what drains you, then you can change things around, right? Noticing what brings you back to yourself. So I can look at action A, action B. If action A is like, oh, this is fun, this is cool, yeah, I haven't finished it, oh, that's okay. Action B is like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to try this. Let's go. Let me go see if I can have supplies. Ooh, maybe I can substitute the supplies. Ooh, let me get started. My goodness, I can't wait. Oh no, it's not dry. I can't paint it. I want to paint it. Can't I just paint it? What brings you back to yourself? What makes you so excited that you can't wait to do it? You can't wait to try it. You can't wait to finish it. It also looks like repeating those choices over time. So you find something you like, or you're doing an activity that you like, or a moment to yourself that you enjoy, time of day, and you want to keep on doing it over and over and over again. Right? Yeah. So that's what rebuilding your identity is like. There's no pressure because you're doing it a little bit at a time, right? It's flexible because, again, you're looking for those small pockets of time and you're inserting it there, right? It's not taking away from your family because, again, it's those small moments of time, small pockets of time that you're finding and you're putting aside for yourself. So here is why self-trust is a foundation. Self-trust in yourself, right? Self-trust is not built by knowing who you are. It's built by listening, excuse me, it's built by listening to yourself consistently. So every time you notice your needs, every time you honor a small preference, every time you pause instead of overriding yourself, right? You rebuild identity connection because you're being consistent. You're noticing. You're doing it. You're taking care of your needs. You're going through with the time you put aside and the activities that you want to do. That's how you start to build trust, self-trust. Okay? So, so this is not a version of a journey that tells you that you're late, right? There's no version of this journey where you were late. There's only awareness, waking up to the fact that, oh, yes, I really do miss who I am. I really don't know who I am, what I like anymore. Recognition. This is what's going on. Well, no, awareness, I guess, would be you feel like something is missing, right? There's something itching. Something's not quite right. Recognition is now the actual realization of what is actually right. Sorry, it's actually not right. And the reconnection is starting to build that self-trust again. And then the integration is where you're actually starting to do it, to use it, to make it a habit. And in all that process, you're going to find who you are right now in this moment, in this season. Okay? So many of us think that we need fixing, when what we actually need is reconnection, reconnecting with us, reconnecting with ourselves. I just want you to realize you were not lost. You were not broken. You were definitely not behind. You are in. And transition is not a failure. It is a becoming more of who you are. And becoming happens slowly. It happens quietly. One small moment of self-reconnection. So, until next time, I hope this episode has got you thinking. I hope this episode helps you start to take stock of what you're prioritizing in your life in terms of your own personal self and help you realize that you really do need it and you can't get it back. And there's nothing wrong with you. This is just a journey that we all have to take as well. Until next time,